Good morning, everyone. If you're in this part of the world, if you are in a part of the world that it's at night, then good evening or good afternoon. My name is Josh, and I am the guy behind Speak Good Human, the free animal communication practice site. And welcome to our live edition of Ask the Pros, where you ask the questions about animal communication and the professionals answer. And if you have any other questions any other time of the year, you can submit those on the Ask the Pros page on Speak Good Human, and they will answer there as well, but just not in a live format like this. And today's live guest is Keri Davis. She's an interspecies life awareness coach, certified, and she's been an animal communicator for more than 20 years. She's an expert on quantum physics and that whole realm. And she has a degree in holistic health sciences, emphasizing quantum physics healing. She has extensive training in mind mapping, neurofeedback, and she has more than a dozen energy healing modalities under her belt, which is really great because she can bring all that perspective to the table and really help us understand what is going on with our issues with animal communication and anything that we need to conquer or get past, and hopefully some of that will come up today. And Keri has also been a really great supporter of Speak Good Human over the years. She's lent her wisdom to a few Dear Student letters, which you can see on the site, as well as meditations, attunements, webinars surrounding the quantum field connection page. So it's really great that she's here in a different format, answering your questions. So I'm happy to welcome Keri Davis. Hello, Keri.
Thank you. Hi. I feel like I need to see people. It feels funny just talking to
Maybe a way for you to monitor the feed if you want. I don't know how to tell you that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thank you for having me, Josh. And I'm looking forward to plugging away with some of our questions, and hopefully I can be of some light for the questions.
Okay, well, let's get into it. And if you're just tuning in, Keri will be answering some questions that people have submitted over the last few days. And then at the end, we'll save some time. And if you have additional questions, just use the chat below and ask away, and we'll try to get to those. So the first question is, how do I know the difference between my being blocked or the animal not wanting to communicate?
So can I ask you a question? Oh, Josh?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you there? Okay, it started scrambling.
I'm
going away. I want to ask you a question, and I don't see your face anymore. When it comes to feeling blocked, and if you take it on the level of you're out with a friend of yours, and you're having a difficult time with this friend, you're feeling that you're not connecting, you are experiencing overall just a disconnect and a frustration between the two of you. How do you usually deal with a situation like that?
Well, I probably would try to rephrase what I'm trying to get across if I'm the one communicating. If we're talking about a subject where I just know we're not on the same page and we're just not understanding each other, I probably just let it go and chalk it up to that we're just different people with different perspectives, and we'll go our separate ways, and at least on these topics. But I assume that if somebody wants to be connecting with an animal, they really want to. But are you suggesting that maybe the animal wouldn't want to?
Well, what I'm suggesting is we're so busy sometimes trying to figure out, are they getting it? Are they getting it? Am I receiving? Am I receiving it? That we've actually booted ourselves right out. And remember, animal communication. Oh, thank you. You're back. That was making me dizzy. Animal communication is really subtle energies. And at least right now, if we were sitting having a coffee, I could at least reach out and touch you and get that visceral response, and I could read your body language. But when we are working energetically, we are just working in the language of vibration. And it gets translated through our biochemistry and such from there. So our job is to really look at, am I sitting there like a dog ready for a walk, waiting for the information, like I gotta get it. Or am I just out with you having a coffee and really trying to hold the space for you while you talk? Kind of like the natives would do. Here's your talking stick. It's your turn. And there's just a presence. We're not jumping to the end. So in a situation like that, what I would suggest, if you're finding that happens quite a bit, I would then just take get up, move your body, because somatically we get stuck. Our cells remember this. We become a blueprint, and we will default back into that very quickly. So it's like once we have the awareness, that's it. We can see it from a new vantage point. And that's where space is created, which creates a different field, which then opens the communication up again. So the question is, how do you do that? Well, it's a fine line, because the hows sometimes get us into linear thinking, and that boots us out of this form of communication. But I would suggest, even just for people just to tap their heart, sends the system the message that you are into safety and healing, which means you're open for communication. That's just our wiring. And then from there, imagine taking your mind's eye up to the penthouse. So get out of the lower, like say in the basement, there's hoarders living there. That's all I can't figure it. And take the elevator up to somewhere where you're comfortable, where there's a penthouse with big windows. There's a different vantage point. And just get comfortable taking your awareness from the clutter downstairs in the basement to upstairs, where it's like, oh, okay, there's a little bit of space here. Might even just sit on a couch, and I may just look out, look around. And that changes the field. And that's what people really get stuck on. We're electromagnetic beings. That's how we connect energetically. That's how we receive communications. So whether someone receives it in symbols or through different senses, it doesn't matter. It's getting comfortable with who you are, and not what Josh does or Keri does or anyone else.
Okay. Are you saying? Well, in my experience, there's only been a few times when the animal has actually told me they don't want to speak right now.
And how did you receive that? How did you know it was the animal? What was there a knowing, or what did you?
Well, I mean, it was probably at the point where I was already past the point of a beginner. I was already hearing things when I wanted to hear them. And
okay.
So I heard, I mean, it's true. It's about perspective sometimes. So I was hearing the animal, and they said, no, I don't want to speak right now, or it's not a good time. And so I guess are you suggesting that most animals are kind of like that? If you reach out to them and want to talk, are they open to talking usually at that time? Or could it be the animal side that is saying, no, I don't want to talk, and that's why you're not receiving?
Well, that's a multifaceted. It's like us stereotyping. I'm walking down the street in my town, and I go up to each individual and expect the same results. Like some guy might tell me to go take a hike, and someone might be all over you going, tell me more, talk to me. So it really depends. But what I have found really overall is we have to, if we can get this one concept in quantum mechanics, and that is quantum entanglement. We are entangled. So if we're coming across this, I don't feel the connection, or I feel like I'm unsure, but the bottom line is the feedback is you're not connecting in the way you want to, where you feel comfortable enough. So that's the question. That's the feedback right there. So in knowing that, just it gives it a little bit of space. Then you can refocus, and you can, and it's really important to get the concept that focus is a really big part of this. Focus and intention. We get so scattered, and so quantum entanglement means we're all swimming in the same pond. So when you're trying to connect with somebody, that animal may even just have a lot of fear. They don't have trust. You are a stranger. And it's not a conscious thing, and especially the way animals are wired, this is natural for them when there's uncertainty. But look at the entanglement. There's your uncertainty and there's their uncertainty. So we really got to pull it back, ask ourselves questions like, what else is possible? So it's like that. It opens up by asking questions. There's a little space after. It's just a speck. That's consciousness. That's the piece that has all the jewels in it.
Okay.
It's like does that make sense, Josh?
So it's more about what you're communicating to yourself rather than what you're communicating to the animal. That's where you start is. Yeah.
And there's an unsafety and uncertainty, and we're wired as soon as there is that, and it's not conscious. Most of this is just what they call the polyvagal theory. Amazing to understand it. It will deepen your work, but it works with how we're wired and animals are wired. So any uncertainty, any sort of fear, any trauma, anything, we either immobilize or we're out of here. Yeah. So and most people that come to us, the animals are not in usually that parasympathetic type response. They're not usually coherent. There's usually imbalances that are going on. Oh. Right? Like, I don't know anyone that's come to me just because they just want to do it because the sun's shining. That's not typical. And good for you if that happens. That's not my experience. So so if we can we're all swimming in the same pond. So any sort of uncertainty that arises in you will be, how do I put it, an interconnectedness within that field, that dance between.
So knowing that it's about that type of thing, what can somebody do if they still feel blocked? They might realize what you just said, but they can't get past that because there still is doubt and uncertainty and fears and all sorts of stuff that are blocking them. How do they get past that?
Well, that's where we have to come back to do our own work. And so we have to integrate. Most of us are disassociated. We're out of our bodies, number one. So we need to learn how, like somatic type approaches, like just get up and don't take yourself so seriously. Like get up, move around the room, walk, breathe, we have these bodies too. And that's how we receive. This is our instrument here. So it's kind of like trying to play the ukulele without a ukulele. And a lot of times we're so busy trying to do all these techniques here, there, and everywhere that we're gone. We're gone. So it's like, come back home. So if you can just let's just do something for fun if you want. Just close your eyes for me, Josh. Okay. And just put your hand on your heart. And then take me to, put yourself in that situation where you feel blocked. You're just frustrated. You can't seem to pull it together. Okay. Take me to where you feel that in your body.
I feel it throughout my body. It just feels tense and all on alert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great awareness. So I want you to just sort of take that overall tightness, grab it with your hand. There's no right or wrong. Just take your intention, whether you scoop it all up from your feet right up and you pull it out in front of you and put it in front of you and keep pulling and pulling it. But we'll keep it simple for now.
Well, I'm doing that, but I've switched it to a vacuum so that it's easier for me.
Okay.
I vacuumed it all out.
Okay, so for people that the vacuum doesn't work, I'm going to just take this. So just play with me here. So you pull it out in front of you. This is NLP stuff. And you put a frame around it.
Okay.
You don't have to worry that you have it all because we're going to have stuff come up every day. Our job is to just pull it like brushing your teeth. It's hygiene. You just continually do this stuff. So it's check in, feel, pull it out, put a frame around it. And you could even look at that and go, what's the gift in this? Like it's been there for a reason. It might just be so it keeps you small, keeps you safe, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just look at it like you're sitting in the audience now and you're not in the play. Now what you can do is take your hand and make it smaller and smaller, or you can envision a knob like your dimmer switch on your lights.
Okay.
And just you can white it out like the old-fashioned TVs. Josh and I are around the same age, so we had those. Or you can turn it into just the black mode where it blacks out. And any residue that's still there, just take your intention and swing it around you. It's behind you. Just feel there's a little touch of space there.
Yep.
That's it. It's like cleaning out the hoarder's house. Yeah. We don't just come in and clean their entire mess out and then think they're healed. Right?
Right.
They're going to fill it back up.
Still mindset.
Yeah. So the mindset is, what do I need to do for hygiene today? Like, okay, I'm feeling like, oh God, it's happening again. It's like, and when we become so aware of it, it's like, oh God, here we go. It's almost nauseating. And it's just take your power. It's in you, not anyone else.
Yes, 100% agree with that.
And stand in it. Go, I'm choosing this. I'm not, I'm kind of choosing it, kind of not. Don't know. Should I call Josh first? And it's like, no, stand in your power and make that choice. If you had someone coming into your house trying to steal your money, would you go, well, I don't know. It's okay, but maybe I'm more enlightened. I'll let you steal it. Like, let's get real here. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you say hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. And your voice is going to change, your tonality. And that sends messages too. That's a whole other subject.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. I hope that's helpful for everybody. And it's not an instant,
no,
but it's something to, when you work on it, and it's happened with me, it will clear the way for the communication to come. And once you get it, you can't lose it again.
Like, let me just share this. Like, sometimes this helps too. It's like a relationship. You're trying to get your partner to see your side. Like, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And finally you go, I surrender. What usually happens if there's going to be a transformation? That's usually when all of a sudden you hear from them. Hold on here. Hold on. I think I get it. I think I want to try, or I want to open that door. Mm-hmm. We all have experienced that, right?
Yeah.
The same thing.
Okay. Thank you. Well, this next one is also about blocks. This person says, I keep hearing it's hardest to communicate with your own animal. And other people have also asked the same question relating to just with your own animal, or after the animal crosses over, when there's a trauma involved, so that, it's upsetting.
Okay.
Is it true? Or is it just a block people put up? Is it really more difficult to communicate with your own animal, or is there something else going on here that makes it seem that way? And is something like sadness from grief one of those blocks? Is it an actual block?
Well, and I think we have to really look at the term block. I mean, is sadness a block? It's just another expression of us in Earth School. And I'll tell you, I just went through a lot of transitions in the last year, including my father and close friends and such, and lots of animals. And I'll tell you, it's a process we can't control. But one thing I would suggest is that we show up, like just mark it in your daytime. Okay, I've got my session with myself, like meaning I'm showing up as like, this is my grief counseling, if you want to call it. And I'm honoring this. I'm showing up. You may even have a picture of your animal or something that represents it. You could even use psychometry, like touch it, feel it, just or look at it and have a focus. But I'll tell you, it's something that is organic, and we can't speed the process. And that is why we go to a doctor when we need support. We need another perception or perspective, not we're too close to it. We need more knowledge. Sometimes it takes to just extend that and ask for support in bridging that communication. There's nothing wrong with that, because I'll tell you, a lot of times we're too close. We know too much physical stuff, which clouds a lot of times that purely the energetics. Mm-hmm. We have too many beliefs. There's too many clouds. It's like a cloud of beliefs that tend to be like, and I'm talking about just in regular communications too. Sometimes we're just too close, and we need a new perspective. It's like when we go to counseling, or I do a lot of mentoring work. It's for them specifically, and it's like a new set of eyes and ears to support them.
Okay. So the bottom line is, it is more difficult to communicate with your own animal, just no matter what the circumstance, just because we know so much about the animal and the circumstances that it makes it difficult.
Yeah, because we still have to honor, we're in this 3D world, right? And we have them sitting beside us. It's not like, to me, I like doing all my energetic work through non-locality, which is like they're not sitting on my lap, because it's cleaner. Because if I'm truly working energetically, that's what I'm reading. Okay. If I'm a behaviorist, then I'm reading body language. Okay, his muscles tense, T. We lunged out, that, and then they tell a story from that. Okay. That's not what we're doing. So it's like, just relax, let go a little bit, just like let the grip go just a little bit. And you would never tell your friend, well, you should be at a different stage of your grief. No. You should be there, right? Yeah. And watch what shows up. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, would you recommend, let's say somebody is in grief over a loss, would you recommend simply to put the idea of communicating aside for a while until you heal a little more? Or would you recommend pushing through and doing what you're suggesting?
Well, I think it's an individual thing, but I have to really say we got to, there's an illusion with communicating that we have to work at it. We got to get to it. It's there. We just have to turn the channel. Okay. So we're not creating so-called our realities. We're attuning to that reality. That's the difference. So we got to come back to our heart. And sometimes we have to do some of our own. Well, we do. I don't know anybody in this work that has not had to come back to themselves eventually. And so it's like, okay, so like I mentioned, let's show up every day and have that, okay, this is my time to connect with Fifi. Like, just hold the space. It's not about, I gotta connect. I'm showing her that I'm actually showing up for her without expectations, not this pressure.
Right.
But you've committed to it, and you're focused, and you are there, and you're listening. Like, you're not telling her you got to come through and how you should come through and what you need to know. It's just allow it to manifest.
Well, if I didn't know any better, I would think you're telling me that this is much more simple than it really seems to be.
We complicate the hell. That's why I want to do a course. The course about nothing, but all about everything.
Yeah.
It's like go on an eliminatory diet. Every day go, okay, yeah, that's great. I learned that, but I'm going to put it on the shelf right now. And I'm going to put that book away and I put it on the shelf. It's there if I need it, but I'm just going to clear the room. I'm going to clear my energy field. Mm-hmm. So I don't have as much stuff, and you can bring light in to grow new. So you might go, okay, yeah, I've noticed that theme coming up. Okay, it's not like we're going to get rid of it. That's an illusion, thinking we're getting rid of it. We're changing the channel. And we might go back to the old channel, like when we watch TV. We might flick back to some cheeseball show, and then we flick back to another vibration and frequency, and then we might flick back to that. That's okay. But the thing is you have awareness that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Look at the feedback. That's it. Look at the feedback in your life.
That's great. Thank you. If you're just tuning in, we're here with Keri Davis, and she's an animal communicator and specialist in lots of different modalities for healing, quantum healing, and the quantum field. And she's answering some of our questions that we've submitted over the past few days. And here we are with the next one. This person says, when I ask an animal things, I get answers, but not for that particular animal, for the next animal I talk with. So she's sort of in a predictive mode where she has this predictive ability to get an answer before she even approaches the next animal with it. And she says that this is something that happens in her regular life outside of animal communication as well. Can you talk to that phenomenon that's happening there?
I wish she was on the line, because this would be a great one. Okay, so my question to her would be, is like, obviously she said this is feedback she gets in other areas of her life.
Yeah.
So this is a prime example. She's got to get back to right now, because she's still communicating, whether she's conscious or not. She's still communicating as, I'm over here. Oh. I'm not here. Like, just look at, like, how do you take that, Josh? If you look at it in a very simplistic viewpoint, if you're always over in the next and you're not here, are you there with that being right now?
No, it's not. It's not being in the now.
Yeah.
But I still think it's kind of cool to be able to predict something like that in the future. So I think that might be what's throwing the situation off, because you think, oh, it sounds like almost a superpower.
Well, and that's how communication actually works. That's why, we talked a lot about it, excuse me, of how we are so caught up in our 10 steps in our protocol that we've missed it. It already came in, like it came as the second that you go, oh yeah, right, I got to connect. It's there. And in fact, if I'm doing any work, a lot of times it's like, I just got to get on the phone with these people because it's there. And then I feel then it becomes stagnant. Like I just need to get it out and get it moving. Mm-hmm. So how would she, now that she knows that this happens, that's a gift, because a lot of us don't know. We're not attuned to know that, oh, that's not for them. But my question for her, do you know her, Josh?
No.
Do you know anything about her? See, this is a very individual scenario. But I'll give her, but I'm not one to add more stuff into, but she could try it. So if she is going to work with Fifi, say, not the next one, but Fifi, is to draw out a circle with Fifi's name in it, okay, and the intention. And then it's like, get focused, whether she looks at it, puts her hand over top, feel the energy connection, puts it on her third eye, her heart, her belly, just follow her guidance, but just that she is focused. And then you can envision, if you understand the illusion of our time here. So in our physical 3D realm, we perceive time, even though it's all an illusion, as so if you and I were going to drive to New York, we would have to have time or space, to experience that through our senses, correct?
Right.
We need that space in our time. But when we're working at this level, there is no space-time. It's time-space. It's faster than the speed of light. So that's why she receives like that. It's just like, it just is. It's done. So for her, she could even close her eye and just, even with that vortex we just created, is like expand it out like she's slowing down time. Just like take her focus. She's got to get, focus is the key for her. And just take that, expand it, feel it slowing down. She can even envision it on a dimmer switch, the light thing again, and she's slowing the fan that's going on the ceiling. It's going slower and slower. And there's a little bit more space for her to work and play in.
Okay.
How did that sound to you? Like,
yeah, that sounds good. I mean, not having really experienced that, I've definitely had periods of time where I seem to be ahead of things, where I could, but not to the extreme like she's suggesting and experience. But yeah, I think if she maybe works with that, we'll see if I hear back from her and see how.
Yeah, and be patient. Just tell her the key here is that she's aware of it. So she can sit in the audience and she can go, oh, right, that's what's going on. That's half of it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the tricky part is that she wouldn't necessarily know that she's speeding up things and she's not focused on the now, because she thinks she's talking to one animal and she thinks she's doing now. Yeah. But it turns out differently. So how do you really recognize the two?
Well, she's got to get in her body. Yeah. Seriously, she's got some major, she's really got to pull in, because a lot of us think we're in their body and we're actually out looking in. So really, it's like if we want to have, because our connection is through our electromagnetic field to even send the signals to receive this information. So how do you do that? You can't be over in your neighbor's couch or at Fifi's place that you're going to talk to next week. Like, we really have to. So it's kind of like a little bit of a babysitting job at first. And a lot of times we may need counseling because we are disassociated. And that's my passion too, is like a lot of us, especially sensitives on this planet, are disassociated. It's part of life when we've felt traumatized or felt like we don't belong. It doesn't even matter how traumatic. It's what matters is how it affected the individual. And so that can make us very separate. And in very separate states, that will alter our connection.
Okay.
And our focus. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you. This next question is great for beginners because a lot of us go through this, and it's when they first start in this journey and trying to learn all this stuff, and so many different methods out there, and do this and do that and this rule and this guide. And so their question is, there's so much information out there. Is there a shortcut to finding what works for me?
Okay, great question. So everything we just talked about, what did you just hear? What's the main theme you got from what we just spoke about, Josh, if you were asking that question?
Well, it's just about being present with yourself and knowing who you are and how you feel and what your space is all about. And once you know that, that's your world that you really need to worry about. It's nothing else.
Because we know where we begin and end, so we can feel the subtle energies of another. So this is really important. Where, remember I just talked about the eliminatory diet? It's practiced just great. I loved seeking. I've been the master of seeking, But I don't come to my communications now like I have this array of things that I can tap into if my guidance suggests that. But other than that, I show up like today. I showed up. I had no agenda, and so you get to a place where it's great. You can learn from all of these people, but how does it feel for you? And that might not be your language. It may not be your alphabet. Okay. That's why I talk so much about the physics of this, because if we understand sort of if you want to call it the mechanics of it, then, do what you want. Jump up and down 5 times. And if you believe it's going to work, it's going to work. But get back home and be true to you. And I would suggest asking yourself questions. If you do really learn a new belief system or a new modality, ask yourself questions. Does this feel like I'm working harder at something? Does it feel like there's so much stuff I'm thinking about and I get linear? Because this process is creative. Creativity, when an artist shows up with their paintbrush, they don't have a clue half the time what's coming out. It comes through, but their job is to show up with focus and get the paint out. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah. And I love that part about, does it feel easier or less? It shouldn't feel more difficult to do something. No. It should feel better and more simple and easier. And that's been my experience too. And when I had my first big breakthrough, previously, I was trying to learn all these different things and nothing was really working for me. And I was so frustrated. I finally just said, forget all this. I'm doing it my way. And my way has always been simple. It is straightforward. Tell it like it is. It's just me and whatever, and do it simply. And it worked great for me. I know it's not the same method for everybody, like you said, but for me, letting go of everything else and just being with me and relying on my personal characteristics, which I love, imagination and humor and just being easygoing in a conversation. And that worked. It worked for me. I started hearing and seeing and doing what I wanted to do. So
thank you for that. And that quantum creativity, like that's the field of all possibilities. It's what we observe is what collapses into what we perceive as our reality. Mm-hmm. So what are you observing? Is it clutter? Is it fixated on, 100 lists? And I don't know about you, but I just find that exhausting. I get enough in my life. I don't need to have 100 steps before I even show up because I listed it. I want to share this story. Can I just share this? Because this might bring to light. I forgot all about this. So when I was doing my mind mapping certification, and this is really fascinating to me because I seen it in front of my eyes. And so I had a private session too with Dr. Fannin after. And so he's the scientist, that neuroscience fellow that worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza in all his work. And he had seen over the years this common trait for, psychics, intuitives, and blah, blah, blah. And so we were doing a measurement for my brain, and I was supposed to be in the waking mind. And then all of a sudden, my dog came through and my grandma, and I could say it was this clutter, right? That's where my head was. And then, the lady's going, Keri, are you sleeping? And I'm no. And then we're supposed to do a meditative one. Well, I was already there. My brain is in a place where I'm already connected. So if I was in mainstream, they would have thought I was I was in a coma.
Okay.
Yeah, but shows I was fully aware and having conversations with my grandma and mukluk and but I felt active and it felt like uncluttered and all of that. and it shows you that me trying to get into a meditative state would kick me out of that. It would cause more resistance.
I can relate to that as well, because I know when I first started out, I did all the meditations and all that stuff to try to quiet my mind every time before I try to communicate, and it didn't really. It helped me a little, but not a lot, I don't think. And I don't do that at all anymore. Before,
it just happens.
Yeah,
it just happens.
And I think maybe you do need to start out that way just so you see how it works, and if it does work for you, then great. But after that, maybe it's your experience, which is you're already there and you don't need that. It's just going to make it more cluttered, not less.
Well, and everyone's wiring's different. That's why if you're under stress, you do have to create coherence, and that does come through. There's a lot of great techniques. So meditation is a huge part of creating that integrative self, so then you can quiet. But I'm giving you an example. A lot of empaths we're already connected, intuitives and psychics, all the same category. You're already in tune, but it's through all these courses that we become disconnected.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of beginner's luck, like beginner's luck is just show up and I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and that is the other thing is get rid of the expectations, because those expectations are all coming from other people's experiences, and they may or may not work for you. So get rid of that and expect what you want to expect.
And if you're in the quantum level of healing and possibilities, and this is how we work if we're truly connecting like we say we are at this level, then it isn't pulling from who we are, who we've been, who we think we are. It's because it's nobody, nothing. And so it's almost like I know I have the best stuff when I haven't got a clue. Like I have no idea. And do I have to repeat this? Like many times I've learned to say it now, but sometimes I'm not repeating that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no sense. And that was the biggest piece.
Well, so far you've made sense, so don't worry.
Okay. Well, that's a miracle. And we didn't get cut off yet. What time is it?
Yeah, we're 40 minutes in. So we have a couple more questions, and then I'm going to go check the chat and see if anybody has anything else live. So this fifth question is, how do I interpret symbolism and that I get in connections? So she gives an example, like a dog running through a field or traveling on a boat. She might get symbolism in a connection, and she doesn't know how to interpret it.
So that's a good question. And I would remember we talked about the quantum entanglement. We got to include the people. So this is where you don't try to fill in the blanks. You ask questions. So if you are even working with the human companion, you can say, does this mean anything to you? This symbol of a field or a couch with a steak on it, or whatever it is. Ask, and it's that marrying, including people in to the whole system. Is we get caught up. I have to know it all before I'm going to even be able to say this to them. And it's not about us saying anything to them. It's about including them and asking them. Asking and you shall receive.
Yeah.
People normally are wonderful for helping, and then it grows, and then your awareness expands, and you go, oh. And then the other part of that question is it's up to her to decipher the language, and that just takes experience. But do not go get a book about what does this mean when a field shows up, or that. What does it mean for you? And it's really inquiry, and it's listening, and it's just noticing, well, that came up again. Okay, and then learning about this animal and the person, then there's a theme. They live on a farm, or they, there's a theme here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually in the psychic community, which is, alongside this one a little, they do talk a lot about psychic symbol dictionaries. And they have dictionaries that say what you just said. If you see a man in a field, this is what it means. But that's just one interpretation. I wouldn't go by that either. I would go by somebody else told me they just start creating their own dictionary, because if these themes show up for them in similar ways over and over, then when you see 3 stars in the sky, that it means something good is going to happen or whatever, and
I think it's really important that, because you have to realize those books are just someone else's belief system. And it's like that can take us out. So some of them may work for you, maybe not. But what I find is if I have to think, okay, the right side means that's my grandmother, and then the left, it's like, oh my God, we're not there for them.
Yeah.
When they are, I'm so busy trying, is it left, right? Are they wearing red or pink? And what does that mean? And it's like, holy crap, we've missed the conversation. It's like me talking over you, having a coffee while you're talking. It's really the same thing.
I would also say I would celebrate the fact that this woman is getting images like this.
Yeah.
I think that's a great step forward, and it does mean that the channel is open and it's exciting. So just figure out what it means, which will come in time.
It will, and ask the people. Ask the people. Yeah, it's just there's that to me shows someone with integrity and honesty and being authentic.
Yeah, and everyone out there, I can see comments come through, but for some reason my app is not letting me scroll or answer. So I will do that after we finish with these pre-submitted questions. But thank you for your comments. Keep them coming. And I see Tony Bailey, you just mentioned that about the feedback. Yeah, if you see these symbols, get feedback, and one image might mean something to somebody and another to somebody else. So good point.
Yeah, good question. They all are great questions. It's not uncommon. I mean, everyone, this is normal. I go through it every day too. I mean, we all do.
And really, animals think in pictures, as we always hear. So it makes sense for them to send a picture, wouldn't it?
Well, but that's another belief, because if we understand, honestly, the physics of it, is that we're just translating through fields. So it depends if that's your muscle or not.
So they might send a picture, but we definitely can translate it as in words. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it could be, so this is why do not judge yourself, whether you're visual, kinesthetic, just that clear knowing. We have 100 words for all this stuff, but at the end of the day, what is most natural? What just happens without you even knowing? That's the jewel. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And we can develop, and I'll tell you one of the things that we can really work on too, but not work on it per se, like I just said, have fun with it, is a sense of smell.
Oh.
That's a big one for animals. Big one. Like, I know I was tuning in one time for this, I was a shelter animal, and the dog went missing from a foster home. And as soon as I tune in, I smelled a pig farm. Like, I smelled this disgusting smell. Sure enough, the dog was rolling in pig crap at a pig farm. But that was really God. I mean, that was really important. You could smell it a mile away here in Canada.
Wow.
Yes. So it's a good thing to bring awareness to. Oh, when I'm eating dinner and I'm out with friends, what am I smelling? Do I smell different energy when I walk into a room? Do I smell when I'm feeling uptight? Does it smell different? So you can but do you notice I'm asking questions? And there's a little space after a question. And that's the important place.
Yeah, because that's what we keep saying. It's all about that space for you to be and explore your world.
And the illusion is the space is empty. That's where all the communication is.
Yeah.
So that's the illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, today's featured guest teacher, the animal, shared with us. Just picture a basket in front of you, an empty basket, and that's where the communication will be. Accept it into there, receive it in this empty vessel, and just by being in that receptive mode is what really can do a lot for you. It's
kind of, honestly, it's so important. And how are we receptive? Well, we have to understand our nervous system too, and come back home and learn to manage ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. All right. I have one more question for you, and then we'll hop over to Facebook, the comments, and see if there's anything else. Okay, so here it is. I am just beginning and seem to be picking up more about an animal's energy rather than information or details like part of a conversation. Is this kind of indicative of being in the first stage of communicating, or should I be picking up more at this point?
So Josh, from everything we just talked about, how would you answer that? Just curious.
Well, I mean, we sort of did answer it all.
Yeah, we did.
I mean,
yeah,
you could be getting more if you allow it. And if you're just at the stage that you're at, where you're just getting the energy, that's fine too. But
that is the communication. Energy is what we're reading. There's no we're not working with matter. So energy is the bottom line that gets transferred, if you want, like simplifying this, into how the electricals and the chemical and such, how we receive it. Yeah. So that is it. So how she is defining energy, well, that's the sweet spot. You can explore that. Okay, I noticed as soon as I tuned into him, I really felt a nervousness. Well, you could explore that. You could just even hold the space for him if he's nervous, or there's a disconnect or whatever it is. You can just, that I love you blink. Everyone knows that. Hold the space, powerful. I do it with the shelter animals all the time. Mm-hmm. Traumatized dogs. And I don't have to do anything, be anything, just sit and hold that space. And energy is, that's where our communication is.
Yeah, whenever I feel that I'm blocked or that it's not flowing as well as I hope, I always start with trying to feel the energy. And that's just, for me, it works really well. I just calm down and just feel what's going on here. And that usually breaks it free for me. And
it does, yeah. It does,
and also what I think is, not everybody can experience this part of it, but that the energy has these packets of information. Some people, me included, sometimes you'll just get this complete understanding of what the animal is saying in one packet. It's like the full story. You don't need 20 minutes conversation. You just need this 1 second of energy packet that is right there with everything you need. And
that's hilarious, because that is what I've learned is if I sit there and go, okay, I got to get more, I'm out.
Right.
My stuff already came through before I picked up the phone. Uh-huh. And that's it. It might have been like a 2-second. And that is the information. So my job then is connecting with the human to translate it. But also they're part of the entanglement. So who's got to do the work is the people.
Yeah.
So we think we're just wanting to work with animals. Well, I'm sorry, but this is a human. We're back to looking at us. Yeah. So it's really interesting, that whole way. It's like accepting how, like, that is That is the information. Now, you could receive the energy, you could feel it, you could see it, you could even touch it, like that circle I talked about, creating that vortex. You could just even communicate just with that, having a picture in front of you, putting the picture on your third eye.
Yeah.
Put it in your heart. Like, experiment with different fields of energy and how they.
And I know this is not one of the questions, but it kind of relates, because people always ask, or they kind of think, well, I can hear things in a conversation, but I don't really sense them in any other way. Like they may not feel it, or they may not smell it, or they may not see things. They can just hear.
Great.
Some people have the ability to do all of it. Some people are just really strong in certain areas. Do you feel like we're all able to do all of that, or do we really have special areas where we're very strong in one area and maybe not so much in another?
Well, would I be a good basketball player? Probably not.
I don't know. I can't tell how tall you are.
Not that tall. No, and like, really, I mean, this is where I think we've got to put our focus again. What comes natural for you? I'm not saying we can't strengthen other muscles, but first put your focus on what is just natural. And I'll tell you, the stuff that's natural is the stuff you don't work for. Okay. It just is, like you call it, the package of energy. It just is. It's there. Open the mail. You've got it. Quit searching for the mail around it. It's there. And then from there, I find some of the streams can open. But it's like any skill set. We don't dive into all of them and try to do it in, I'm going to have a training and I'm going to know all this in 30 minutes.
Right.
Like, run from people like that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a new language, and honor your language, because it's got all the packet inside of it. But we're so busy looking around for another package that we've missed it.
Yes.
It's got to be more and exciting than this.
Right.
And we're the worst. The human condition is the worst at complicating the hell out of this.
Yeah, that I've seen that over and over, and I've had to learn it the hard way as well.
Oh, and I still do. I still learn it every day in my life. Yeah.
I am going to see, I'm going to go on Facebook now and to see if there's any comments, any other questions here that we may not have covered.
Did you?
Unless, can you see the questions on your end, Keri?
I can go on to my Facebook if you want.
No, I mean right below. There should be something right below.
I don't see anything. It just has our mugshots on there. I just see our two photos and then chat below, but there isn't. It doesn't look to me like Facebook.
I don't see any other questions here.
Did we answer them? Did we?
Well, I see it says 11 comments, but they're not showing up for me. There's only 4 of them are showing up, and I'm not sure why.
Do you want me to just go quickly onto my Facebook account and see if we can see? Because we've got a couple minutes left. Should we or not? I'm lost. Bear with me here. Talk away, Josh.
All right. Well, I'm looking through. I'll repeat that. If you have other questions throughout the year, and you don't know who else to ask if you're not working with a teacher, that's why we have the Ask the Pros page, and you can ask it there, and I'll round up professionals who are able to answer those, and sometimes there may be 2 to 3 different answers on the same question because everyone has a different perspective and approach. So
I'm trying. It's slow getting on, Josh, but I'm just getting on now.
Well, here's one, Keri. for some reason they're not showing up for me, but I do have one here if you'd like to listen.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just fiddling here.
So
Yeah.
Julie's question is, I'm a beginner and several friends have offered me their animals to practice with. How soon should I try that?
Okay.
That's a great question.
It is great. Sorry, I'm going to get back so I can pretend I'm seeing you. I'm just on the site, but I'm going to come back. Okay, that is a great question. And this is something that if they're just wanting, they're offering a space for her to practice, then what's wrong with that? Just show up without expectations. Like really, it's commit to the showing up and not getting to the end. Mm-hmm. So it's like someone that's writing a song and they only write the end of the song. There's no middle part.
Yeah.
So just experience. It's the only way we can build this muscle is just to show up, and you'll do great. I
agree. I would recommend practicing with anyone and everyone who's willing, because and they know that you're a beginner. They know you're learning, and they can take it with a grain of salt whether whether what you say resonates with them or not. And it doesn't really matter. You got it. It came to you for a reason, whether you're translating it in the way that the people want to hear or, it doesn't matter. All that matters is trying to feel how this feels to do this work, do this skill. And I used to go on, when I didn't have anyone to practice with, I used to go on Craigslist and look at like the lost animals section and just try to communicate with the animals. And
good for you.
I seem to have gotten things, but there was no way for me to get feedback. And that's why sites like Speak Good Human are so important. If you don't have anyone to give you the feedback, that's the way to do it, because you do need the feedback to know whether you actually got anything right. And when you do find out that you got things right, that's when you progress, because your mind starts relaxing. Mm-hmm. And you feel like, okay, I'm getting this, I'm going in the right direction. And then you kind of allow yourself to do the rest.
Yeah, good point, Josh. And it's just be gentle. There's something called self-compassion that we really need to implement for ourselves. And we're not going to get everything. It's like even the Stargate, you've probably heard of that, Josh. The government set that up years ago. It's basically, it was an intelligence for war. Yeah. And they would bring, it was psychics. Actually, one of the scientists I studied with was asked to be part of that as a teacher. And what they did was they would come together. There was training, like intuitive training, basically. Mm-hmm. And they would focus on, whatever subject it was. And everybody would come in and everybody had their piece. No one had the whole picture.
Yeah.
And I think we got to quit this mindset that we have to keep separate and we have to work and keep it in and hidden. And it's like, open up, go, I'm open to new possibilities here. I don't have all the answers, and thank God I don't. Thank God that I'm open to new, and then we can rewire our noggin here and create lasting change.
Yes, I agree. It's all process. We'll all get there someday.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm not sure when that's going to happen.
Well, but... I know, I'm not either, but someday.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I don't see any other questions right now, and I'm sorry if I missed some of yours that I can't see. For some reason, the earlier ones are not showing up for me. I see the count, the comment count, but it won't let me access them. But if for some reason that we don't see a question that we might have missed, then I'll post it on the Ask the Pros page, and we'll get it answered there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not, my computer's really slow. I think it's because I'm on this.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, that's
we have enough to think about, everybody.
Okay.
So thank you again, Keri, for joining us. This was really enlightening and very, very helpful. And everyone else out there, thank you for joining us, and keep practicing fearlessly. That's what it's all about. Find your own way. That's also what it's about.
Oh, Josh, do you have that vortex, the quantum vortex, on your site that they can access?
Yeah, I'll tell them
Did you?
about it now. Yeah, Keri just introduced a new quantum healing vortex meditation. It's a guided meditation, and it will help you release some of these blocks and just get you in the mindset for a clearer communication with animals, or for healing on your animals or on people. And I posted that in Meditation Meadow on Speak with
Okay.
Human. That's where it is right now. It may show up in a different place in addition to that later. But Meditation Meadow, which is where all the meditations are, go down to the guided meditation section, and you'll see a new meditation from Keri there. And I think you'll like it. It'll tie in all of the things that we've talked about today and try to get you to a good mindset for animal communication. All right.
Great. Thanks, Josh, for all your time too, and putting all this together,
You're welcome.
and your expertise in organizing us.
Yep. It's my pleasure. And thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll see you online. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.